day students. In this video lecture we will see the rule generation in a priori algorithm. Before we go into the details of rule generation in a priori algorithm, let us see how to extract association rules efficiently from a given frequent item set. Suppose we have the frequent k item set y, then it can produce up to 2 to the power of k minus 2 association rules, ignoring the rules that have empty antecedents or consequence. So if you take out this empty antecedent and empty consequence, then we can generate up to 2 to the power of k minus 2 association rules from the kth item set or k item set. So an association rule can be extracted by partitioning the item set y into two non-empty subsets. That is, one thing is x and y minus x, which means x implies y minus x. So your antecedent will be having the items which is present in the x. So y minus x means excluding the items in the antecedent that will be present in the consequent of the rule. In that way we are going to generate a rule and use it in the algorithm. So it must satisfy the confidence threshold. So already we have seen in the frequent item set generation that it is satisfying the support threshold. So one which has satisfied the support threshold has become the frequent item set. That is why we need not worry about the support threshold in the rule generation, as it is already been considered in the frequent item set generation. But here we have to worry about whether it satisfies the confidence threshold or not. And as you know, confidence threshold stands for how many times the consequent is able to come in a particular transaction, that is x implies y. So confidence is calculated using sigma of x union y divided by sigma of x, that is the support count of x union y, or x union y minus x divided by support count of x. So in how many transactions this consequent is going to come, using that we are going to calculate the confidence threshold. So already such rules have satisfied the support threshold, so we need not worry about that. So let us see an example for this. Suppose if we take capital X is equal to 1, 2, 3 as a frequent item set, then there are possibility of 2 to the power of 3 minus 2 association rules being generated from this. Which are those? 1, 2 implies 3, 1, 3 implies 2, 2, 3 implies 1, 1 implies 2, 3, 2 implies 1, 3, 3 implies 1, 2. So 2 to the power of 3, 8 minus 2 will be totally 6 rules can be generated. As each of their support is identical to the support for x, the rules must satisfy the support threshold. I have already told in the previous slide while explaining the previous slide. So computing the confidence of an association rule does not require the additional scans of the transaction data set. Why do we don't require that? The reason is, suppose if we are computing the confidence of 1, 2 implies 3, then it will be sigma of 1, 2, 3 divided by sigma of 1, 2. If 1, 2, 3 is already frequent, then according to anti-monotone property, 1, 2 is also frequent. With this we have seen in the earlier video lectures. So we need not make the additional pass. Suppose say that 1, 2, 3, 4 is frequent, then 1, 2, 3 is frequent. It is very much obvious. That is why this additional scan over the transaction data set is avoided. Now let us move to the confidence based pruning. So if we compare the rules generated from the same frequent item set y then following theorem holds good for the confidence measure. What is that theorem, or what does that theorem say us? If a rule x implies y minus x does not satisfy the confidence threshold, then any rule x prime implying y minus x prime, where x prime is a subset of x, must not satisfy the confidence threshold as well. Again, this is according to the properties which we have seen earlier. Since x prime is a subset of x, if x implies y minus x does not satisfy, then obviously its subset will not satisfy. So this theorem is very key, or it is very critical in confidence based pruning to remove the low confidence rules. We will see it with an example in little bit later. So for time being, you understand this theorem as, if a rule x implies y minus x does not satisfy, then its subset x prime implying y minus x prime also will not also satisfy the confidence threshold. There is a brief proof given for this particular theorem. Let us consider the following rules: x prime implying y minus x prime and x implying y minus x, where x prime is the subset of x. The confidence of the rules are like this, that is sigma of y divided by sigma of x prime. Why it has become sigma of y? We already know that because it will be the union of these two, so these primes will cancel, or these x will get cancelled, so it will be sigma of y divided by sigma of x prime, and for this it will be sigma of y divided by sigma of x. Since x prime is a subset of x, definitely we know that according to the anti-monotone property, sigma of x will be definitely less than or equal to sigma of x prime. Therefore, the former rule cannot have a higher confidence than the latter rule. That is, this cannot have the higher confidence compared to this. So this clearly states that if x implies y minus x does not satisfy the confidence rule, then its subset will also not satisfy. So this theorem is very important as far as the pruning of association rules using confidence measure is concerned. Let us see now the rule generation in a priori algorithm based on previous theorems, as well as the basics of rule generation in association analysis. So what does this a priori algorithm do? Means it uses a level-wise approach for generating the association rules, where each level corresponds to the number of items that belong to the rule consequent. Actually, what we have got in the frequent item set generation means only the item sets which are frequent, which satisfies the support threshold, is being generated. What we are going to do in the rule generation means from these frequent item sets, which association rules can be generated. For doing that, a priori algorithm follows a level-wise approach, where each level is going to correspond to the number of items present in the rule consequent. So what it will do means, initially all high confidence rules that have only one item in the rule consequent are extracted. These rules are then used to generate the new candidate rules. Suppose if I have A, B, C, D implying B, here B is being the rule consequent, it is having only one item in that. Here A, B, D implying C, it is having, C is having, means rule consequent is having only one item in that. So if these are the high confidence rules, then candidate rule AD implies BC can be generated by merging the consequent of both rules. So level 1 will have the rule consequent having one item, level 2 will be having the rule consequent having the two items. Let us make it clear by seeing this lattice structure. So if you take here, initially ABCD implies null set in the rule consequent. There is nothing in the rule consequent. At the level 1 we consider the only the item 1 in the rule consequent, that is BCD implying A, ABCD implying B. Similarly you can work out for ABD implying C, ABC implying D. Now what we will do means, we are going to merge here. See here, you can easily understand BC, this will come to the rule consequent. AD will be present in the rule antecedent. So in this way we are going to generate the rules from the high confidence rules to the low confidence rules. What is this part is, suppose this is one example we are going to consider. If any node in the lattice has the low confidence, then according to the earlier theorem which we have seen, entire subgraph spanned by the node can be proved immediately. For that we are going to consider this as an example, that is BCD implying A as the low confidence rule. Then all the rules containing the A in its consequent will be discarded or pruned. It is very simple. You can see here BCD implying A. So whichever the rule consequent is going to have the A, we are going to prune that rule. So in this way we can avoid the low confidence rules. So how you have come to the conclusion that it is a low confidence rules? You set the confidence threshold, how much you want, 10%, 20%, 40%, 50%, 70%, which is appropriate or optimum for your problem. You set the confidence threshold. Based on the confidence threshold, you do the pruning. So this is the confidence based pruning which we use in the rule generation in the a priori algorithm. Next we will see the pseudocode for the rule generation in the a priori algorithm. This is similar to the frequent item set generation which we have done in the a priori algorithm. The steps are almost similar, but the difference is here we need not make the additional passes over the entire data set to compute the confidence of the candidate rules. Why it is like that? We have already seen the reason for that. That is, if one particular frequent item set is satisfying a confidence threshold, then all its subsets will satisfy. You need not check it by making the additional passes. So let us go with the pseudocode and understand what is happening over there. So rule generation for the a priori algorithm goes like this. That is, for each frequent k item set, that is Fk, where k is greater than or equal to 2, we generate or we have all the rule consequence with one item in that. Then we call this particular procedure, that is AP-gen rules, that is passed with the Fk and H1 as the parameters or arguments. So why do we pass? This is the frequent item set and this is the rule consequent. So initially we are going to start with the one item rule consequent. So this is the procedure for that. Initially we compute the size of frequent item set, how much it is, whether it is F1, F2, F3, F4, F5, it depends upon the size of that particular frequent item set. Then we compute this lowercase m is equal to size of the absolute value of this rule consequent, that is the size of the rule consequent, how many items are present in the rule consequent. If 1 is there, then it will be m, small m, or the lowercase m will be is equal to 1. If it is 2, then m will be equal to 2. Then we are going to check if my k, that is the size of frequent item set, is greater than m plus 1. Why we do this? Because if my size of frequent item set is not greater than the size of rule consequent, then there is no point in computing. That's why we check this initial condition. Then we compute h m plus 1, that is the further rule consequence we will compute. Suppose if I have the h1, from the h1 I am going to compute the h2, from the h2 I am going to compute the h3, like that we are going to compute the rule consequence. Once we finish computing the rule consequence using this a priori - gen procedure, then we go with this particular looping. What we are going to do in this loop, for each item in that rule consequent, we do the following. What is that? Compute the confidence. Again, the same formula which we have used in the beginning of this chapter, same thing holds good. That is sigma of rule antecedent union rule consequent divided by sigma of rule antecedent. Sigma of f of k divided by, since we are having the support count of the rule antecedent over here, we have to remove the rule consequent. That's why fk minus hm plus 1 we are going to do. I hope you are understanding this particular calculation. Once we calculate this confidence, we check if this confidence is greater than or equal to the minimum confidence, that is the threshold selected by the designer of the problem or the implementer of the problem. So if that confidence is greater than or equal to the minimum confidence, then you output the rule, that is fk minus hm plus 1 implies hm plus 1. Else what do? You delete that rule consequent, because you are not going to make some value out of that, so you can delete, since it is not supporting the minimum confidence. As we have seen over here, in this particular case, the rule consequent keeping a doesn't make any value, since it is not supporting the minimum confidence. That is being done over here. So this is being done, or this particular app-gen rules is being recursively called until all the rule consequences are examined, which we have computed over here. In that point it will go on. So this is the procedure for rule generation in a priori algorithm. It is very simple. That is, first you compute the k, that is the size of the frequent item set, then m is equal to size of the rule consequent, then you check whether the size of the frequent item set is greater than the rule consequent, size of the rule consequent. If that is satisfied, then you compute all the rule consequents, then go on examining the each rule consequent, where you compute the confidence. Based on the confidence, you decide whether you have to keep that rule or discard that rule. So now let us see some of the limitations of the rule generation in a priori algorithm. Definitely the algorithm incurs considerable input-output overhead, since it requires making several passes over the transaction data set. Even though it is not going to make the several passes over the transaction data set for computing the confidence, but for the computing of rule consequent and examining that, it is going to make some passes. In that way it will have considerable input-output overhead will be there. Performance of the a priori algorithm may degrade significantly for dense data sets because of increasing width of transaction. This we have already seen in the computational complexity, that is factors affecting the computational complexity of a priori algorithm. As the transaction width increases, definitely the computational complexity will increase. The reason is transaction width increases the size of the items involved in that. Several alternative methods are explored for this to overcome the limitations and improve upon the efficiency of a priori algorithm. So this brings us to the end of video lecture on rule generation in a priori algorithm. Thank you.